Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nidus Anarchy series. I'm your host Adam, the CIO and co-founder of Nidus, and today we're going to talk about our next installment of Tech News of the Week. A new sophisticated piece of malware dubbed JaskaGO has been uncovered by AT&T's Alien Labs and is targeting both Windows and macOS systems with alarming efficiency. Developed to use the Go programming language, known for its simplicity and cross-platform capabilities, JaskaGO represents a significant leap in malware sophistication. Currently, it also has a low detection rate by most antivirus engines. So, one of the big things here that's a big note to talk about is that this affects Macs, right? This isn't just a PC thing anymore. And I mean, I've been living in the Mac world since like 2002, 2003, I think. And one of the biggest things was the sense of relief of, I don't have to worry about viruses and malware and all that kind of stuff. Every once in a while one pops up, but this is a bit more disturbing. Because they're now being written in Go, it's cross-platform, it will operate on Mac OS X. So that's actually happening right now. Here's how this thing works. First, it gets itself downloaded and installed posing as a legit software like CapCut, or more disturbingly, which I know a lot of you have, is AnyConnect. So Cisco's AnyConnect tool, we're all familiar with this, right? We have it for our VPNs. Pretty much every one of our clients requires us to have AnyConnect to connect into their VPN. Now, how many times have you downloaded AnyConnect? Probably a ton. Every time you get a new client, you probably got to download it. You got to update the client, or they give you a certain laptop. You got to download that client, or they give you a client. But are you sure you're getting it from Cisco? Or are you just Googling AnyConnect client download, and then just grab a link and just download the client and install it, not even really thinking about it? I know I've definitely done it myself. I'm sure you guys probably have as well. So that is, to me, extremely disturbing, because that's definitely targeting security professionals, and that's how they really get keys to the kingdom. So once it's installed, it first tries to detect if it's running in a VM. If it is, it's going to run some generic non-malicious commands like pinging Google, create a dummy file on the desktop, list IP addresses, or printing out a random string on the terminal. Now, if it realizes it's not in a VM, it goes into attack mode. It grabs a bunch of information on the computers that's compromised, like network info, OS info, and even personal location info, like city, state, zip codes, if it can get it, and then it sends it all to the CNC server, the command and control server. The bot then polls the CNC server for actions to run on this compromised machine. A few of them are creating persistence, we'll go over that in a second, for each different OSs, executing shell commands, displaying alert messages, retrieving running processes, executing files on disk or in memory, writing to the clipboard, so that can be used for stealing cryptocurrencies, I'll go into that in a second as well, and downloading and executing additional payloads, and then at the end, it can even delete itself to cover its tracks. So one of the big things is saying that it can control your clipboard. So think of it this way. Let's say you're sending crypto to someone. You copy their address, and then you go to paste it into the wallet to hit send. Well, what it notices is it says, hey, I noticed that this is a crypto address, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, and then it swaps out for one of its addresses. So when you hit paste, it's actually going to paste in a compromised address. So you're going to send funds to the wrong address. So that's one way it's pretty bad. JaskaGO is also capable of stealing tons of sensitive information from Chrome and Firefox, including browser credentials, browser history, cookies, think about like all your authenticated sessions, password encryption keys to decrypt all those passwords, profile files, and login information. Like I mentioned, the bot can create persistence in both PCs and Macs. For PCs, it creates itself as a service and sets itself to launch on reboot. For Mac OS, the threat's even crazier. JaskaGO can gain root permissions, it disables the gatekeeper protections, and then creates a launch agent or daemon. This means it can automatically launch during startup. This is a huge wake-up call to Mac users that you're just as susceptible to the latest malware attacks as Windows users. The distribution methods of JaskaGO are still under investigation, and its full impact remains unclear. This development is part of an ongoing trend of malware authors leveraging Go for creating advanced threats. Cross-platform, much more people are going to be affected. And you got to think of it this way too. If you can affect people that are running on Mac OS, even people like me, you live in a world where you feel like you don't really have to worry about it as much. So it's kind of easier to attack people there if you have an attack vector, because people aren't looking for it as much. The antivirus software is not installed on every Mac out there. Like on a PC, you definitely look for malware, right? So the sophistication and capabilities of JaskaGO underscore the need for heightened vigilance and robust security measures across all platforms. So now the big question, how can you prevent this from happening? The most important takeaway here is that you need to verify that you're downloading software packages from trusted sources only. Don't just Google AnyConnect client download and then grab the first link that you find. And really, you should be verifying all the MD5 checksums of all your downloads. So if you're unfamiliar with MD5 checksum, really it's just taking the file, running a hash on it, and then it outputs a hash string at the end. So it's like a cryptographic string at the end. So now if even one single byte changes in that file, you have a completely different hash. So that guarantees, for the most part, we won't get into that, but it guarantees that the file is the real file that you downloaded and it matches bit for bit. So it's really important that you start checking those MD5 checksums. I know they're all out there, and I know none of us actually ever do it, but we need to. On a PC, it's actually pretty simple. You can just open up the command prompt, type in certutil-hash file, you put in the file name space MD5, and it'll dump out the hash for you. If you want something like an easy tool, there's a tool called MD5 Hasher. You just push, browse, collect the file, it'll throw the hash in there. You can even copy and paste the hash from like the website, and it'll run the compare to say, hey, is it right or not? For Mac OS, just open up your terminal, type MD5 space the file name. It'll dump the hash. It's really simple. If you want a GUI tool for that as well, there's a good one called MD5 Master. It's on the App Store. You literally just drag the file into the thing and it displays the hash for you there. So even your mom can do it, right? So it makes it super simple. Now, what happens if the legit source is compromised? Well, that takes us to the next piece of security news. Recently, Ledger, a renowned crypto hardware wallet manufacturer, faced a startling supply chain breach. The incident led to the theft of over $600,000 in virtual assets. This is all because their NPM account was hacked. So people were downloading what they thought was a legit NPM package to develop on, but in fact, it was compromised internally. So what happened? Well, a former employee fell victim of a phishing attack, and this breach provided attackers with the keys to the kingdom, like literally, the access to the Ledger's NPM account. So with this access, they cunningly uploaded 3 malicious versions of Ledger's ConnectKit NPM module, spreading a crypto drainer malware far and wide. Ledger's oversight in not implementing two-factor authentication for its development systems made this attack feasible. You'll probably see a commonality here. People are getting breached because they don't have two-factor in place. I think the key takeaway here is anything important, you need to have some form of MFA in place. This malware is seriously insidious too. It embeds a wallet-draining payload into the software, executing unauthorized transactions and siphoning digital assets straight into the attacker's wallets. The malware was live for about 5 hours, and the actual exploitation was somewhere around 2 hours. But here's where it gets interesting. So the version of the module is 1.15, 1.16, and 1.17. They were modified to download a secondary NPM that was a crypto drainer. The impact is companies like Revoke.cash, which rely on these modules, were directly affected. So everyone that used these modules and hooked up to a live wallet to them all had their assets stolen and are now irrecoverable. What's really unfortunate is that in situations like this, Revoke.cash has done pretty much everything right, but their customers aren't going to care. All they see is their tweet to their customers saying all their wallets have been compromised. Their reputation is crushed because they imported a library from a trusted source. I mean, it's Ledger, the nano wallet people, right? They're one of the largest hardware wallet manufacturers in the world, one of the most trusted brands, and you imported their library into your dev code. They were compromised, so now you're compromised. In a swift response, Ledger removed the malicious versions and released an update to mitigate the issue. They've also reported that threat actors' wallet address and Tether, they froze a lot of the stolen funds of the stablecoin if that's what was taken from the wallet. For our cybersecurity enthusiasts out there, this incident is a stark reminder that even legit code source repositories can be compromised, and extreme caution needs to be taken when using third-party libraries. What's ironic is that blockchain itself could also be used to help mitigate attacks like this. Ledger could theoretically publish the MD5 checksums to the blockchain, which is immutable by nature, to allow developers to validate their packages before using them. How could developers and SaaS providers like Revoke.cash have prevented this thing in the first place? By pinning a specific NPM source version and not just relying on the latest version without internal audit and security checks. When working with high-risk systems, you can't trust that the latest package is okay, even from a trusted source. Not just for malicious code, but just think about functional issues as well and bugs, right? So this is the code that actually brought down Revoke.cash. We'll plug it in here, but really, for those of you just listening and not watching, it's really just one line. They included the source of the NPM package, and they did it in a way to where they're saying, just give me the latest version of it and include it. Instead of saying, we only want this specific version. And even better would be to actually save the file locally and run it on their own server, so even if that were compromised and changed, you're not including, attacked source code. And that leads us to our next bit of news. Okay, so let's unpack a sophisticated cyber attack that's making waves by compromising those that use CI/CD pipelines involving TeamCity. Recently, Russian SVR-linked App29, famous for their SolarWinds attack in 2020, has been exploiting a critical vulnerability in JetBrains TeamCity servers. This flaw allows for remote code execution, giving attackers deep access for privilege escalation and persistent network infiltration. For those unfamiliar with TeamCity is a continuous integration and continuous deployment (CI/CD) server developed by JetBrains. It's designed to automate the process of building, testing, and deploying software to all systems throughout the enterprise, from development all the way up through production. It just automates code deployment, right? So you write a bunch of code, you push it up into a repo, it does a whole bunch of magic through a CI/CD pipeline, which TeamCity does that magic, and then from there, it works with other systems like Puppet and Chef or Ansible, whatever, and pushes everything onto the servers. But TeamCity is kind of that brains in the middle that does all the magic of compiling it all together. So how does this attack work? Let's break it down. First, the attackers pinpoint unpatched TeamCity servers. Once identified, they exploit it with a simple Python script. It's actually really simple. So much so that the security researchers aren't really putting out too much information about it because supposedly it's really super simple to do. Post-exploitation, they deploy tools like Graphical Proton for further penetration and control, engaging in activities like credential theft and data exfiltration. It's a digital heist of epic proportions at this point. A compromised TeamCity server could provide malicious actors with access to the software developer's source code, signing certificates, the ability to subvert software compilation and deployment processes. Access a malicious actor could further use to conduct supply chain operations. I mean, just the fact that they have access to your source code and the signing certs that you could be using, that's huge. And you don't even know that it's happening, so you don't even know what's actually being compromised. It's everything that TeamCity touches could be stolen. The campaign's target encompasses a broad range of entities, including an energy trade association, software providers for various sectors like medical devices, billing, customer care, and employee monitoring, as well as firms in financial management, marketing, sales, and video games. Additionally, hosting companies, tool manufacturers, and IT enterprises of varying sizes are also among the affected parties. Further information about the vulnerability has not been disclosed, like I said, because it's a super easy exploit to do. We actually have a video which we can kind of show you the exploit happening. It takes all of about 5 seconds, and you can just watch that as we kind of talk through this thing here. Security research has noted that ransomware groups have already begun actively weaponizing TeamCity bugs that allow remote code execution, and they've been coming from all over the world. So take this as a sign that's absolutely a problem you need to fix now. So what are the defense strategies on this? Well, patching is paramount. Keeping your systems updated closes the door to such vulnerabilities. A patch for this vulnerability was released in September, but we know how slow large enterprises are in patching production systems, especially those as critical and in constant use, such as the CI/CD pipeline. The head of security of JetBrains released the following statement. We were informed about this vulnerability earlier this year and immediately fixed it in TeamCity 2023.05.4 update, which was released on September 18th of 2023 of this year. As of right now, according to the statistics we have, fewer than 2% of TeamCity instances will operate unpatched software, and we hope their owners will patch them immediately. This vulnerability only affects on-premise instances of TeamCity, while our cloud version is not impacted. Now would be a great time to check your TeamCity version. If you're not in the latest patch set, now would be a great time to check your TeamCity version, and if you're not on the latest patch set, take this as a sign to make that happen ASAP. Another fascinating story is about the 8220 gang's latest exploits. This is not just another cyber threat, it's a wake-up call for every Oracle application admin out there that's using WebLogic, which is a lot of them. The 8220 gang, a name you might have heard in hushed tones in cybersecurity circles, has been making waves again. They've targeted Oracle WebLogic server exploiting a critical vulnerability. This is a high-severity flaw with a CVSS score of 7.2, allowing remote code execution, but it's not just about exploiting a single vulnerability, it's the sophistication of chaining it together with an authentication bypass issue vulnerability or leveraging leaked, weak passwords. The 8220 gang's approach is both opportunistic and calculated. They're exploiting a well-known vulnerability using simple, publicly available exploits. This might sound unsophisticated, but the damage is huge. Their agility and evolving tactics makes them a formidable adversary. They're deploying malware focusing on cryptocurrency mining and data theft. So when you think about it, you're probably wondering, well, why are they hacking these boxes just to put cryptocurrency miners on them? Well, generally your WebLogic servers are running massive applications, especially from Oracle's perspective. So these are going to be huge, beefy boxes with tons of RAM, tons of CPU cycles. So, and a lot of times they're grossly over calculated, right? Like a lot of time when you install a WebLogic box, they're using maybe 8 to maybe 20% of utilization of what that server is actually doing. So they're capitalizing on that unused utilization of that box and just for mining cryptocurrency. So it's actually kind of smart in the sense that they're going after boxes that are going to be able to have massive computation power. Now, they don't have GPUs, so I doubt they're doing things like, Ethereum, Bitcoin mining, but there's tons of other cryptocurrencies out there where CPU mining definitely makes sense. Their targets span across healthcare, telecommunications, financial service sectors, and in countries like the US, South Africa, Spain, Colombia, and Mexico. They're not targeting anyone in particular, they're targeting literally everyone. But here's where it gets really interesting. The 8220 gang's method underscores a critical point: the importance of vigilance in patch management and credential security. It's a reminder that cybersecurity is a continuous evolving battlefield. Remember the Heartbleed Bug and the WannaCry ransomware attack? These are incidents much like the 8220 gang's current strategy, highlight the ever-present need for robust security measures and constant updates. So what can we do as professionals, and what can we learn from this? Never underestimate the power of just basic security hygiene. Remember, patch updates, strong authentication protocols, and vigilant monitoring are your first lines of defense. Cybersecurity isn't just a technical challenge, it's a continuous strategic battle. Let's not just be reactive, let's be proactive. Not in just patching our systems, but in sharing this episode with your colleagues. Spread the word, and let's strengthen our defenses together. The U.S. Justice Department has disrupted the BlackCat ransomware operation, a notable event in the cybersecurity world. This operation included releasing a decryption tool to help over 500 victims. The FBI played a crucial role in infiltrating the BlackCat group with the assistance of a confidential source. This collaborative effort involved multiple international law enforcement agencies. BlackCat, known for being a sophisticated ransomware as a service operation, has been a significant threat, compromising over 1,000 global networks, including the MGM attack that we've talked about a few times on this podcast, and generating around $300 million in illegal revenues. The FBI's intervention saved potential ransom payments of about $68 million. Let's dive into the tale of cyber warfare and intelligence. The takedown of the notorious BlackCat ransomware by the FBI. Imagine a world where your most sensitive data is held hostage by faceless criminals, demanding a king's ransom. That's the world BlackCat, also known as Alpha V, Goldblazer, and Noberus, created. Emerging in December 2021, the Rust language-based ransomware quickly became the second most prolific variant worldwide after Lockbit. But here's where it gets interesting. The FBI, in groundbreaking operation, infiltrated the shadowy network. With the help of a confidential source, they hacked the hackers, gaining access to the gang's web panel used to manage all the victims. This is like something straight out of a spy movie. It's pretty crazy. Hopefully someone does a documentary on this later, like on Netflix. The global operation saw collaboration across borders with agencies from US, Germany, Denmark, Australia, the UK, Spain, Switzerland, and Austria all joining forces. It's a testament to the power of international cooperation in fighting cybercrime. Now here's the technical juice for the audience that we all like, right? The FBI's intervention led to the discovery of 946 public-private key pairs used by BlackCat to operate their Tor sites. BlackCat stated that all the FBI got were a stupid old key. That's my Russian accent there. But, who knows for sure how legit these things are in either way. But the real win here is the FBI's release of a decryption tool to over 500 affected victims. This is a massive blow to BlackCat's operations, saving a potential ransomware payments of over $68 million. This feels like a modern-age undercover sting on the Hells Angels, except now it's infiltrating a bunch of keyboard warriors living in the Matrix. It's pretty exciting times from both sides. And the last thing that we got today is an update on the Okta breach that we've talked about many times since October. So today Okta sent out a slew of emails to those affected from the October security breach that we've been covering. How do I know? Because I just got one of the emails today, so that's why I wanted to report it to you, because they wanted to let me know that my contact information was part of that breach. And here's what the email stated. So this is quoting the email. We're contacting you today to notify you that your contact information, name, and certain other contact information, such as phone number, work address, and/or email address, was among the information downloaded by the threat actor. This contact information does not include user credentials or sensitive personal information. Your contact information was in Okta's customer support system because of prior interaction with Okta. For example, holding an Okta certificate, participating in a product trial, receiving promotional communication, being a former customer, or being a current customer. As we shared in our November 29th blog post, we do not have direct knowledge or evidence that this information is being actively exploited. We aim to share this information with you as a precaution, as phishing and social engineering attacks are common, and there is a possibility that this information may be used for such purposes. Oh yeah. As a security best practice, Okta strongly recommends that you enable multi-factor authentication across all your online accounts as a key protection against these type of attacks. We apologize for the frustration the situation has caused. I just find it hilarious that they're telling us how we need to protect ourselves against these attacks when they're the ones that were breached when they should have had MFA enabled. They also had some frequently asked questions on there like, what happened? Is a threat actor extorting your organization? Will Okta provide the identity threat of the threat actor in this incident? And they said no, by the way. They're not going to tell anyone who it is. So that's pretty interesting. Is Okta service secure and operational? They only had a one-word response here. They just said yes. So I guess we'll take that at face value. And at the very end, how do I request to have my data deleted from Okta's customer support system? Not that it matters since it's all been stolen already, but you can shoot them an email and they write, please anticipate it may take an extended time for us to respond to requests. So don't hold your breath on anything happening anytime soon anyway. That concludes this installment of Tech News of the Week. Hope you guys stay patched out there and none of you guys are affected by this, but always I want to let you guys know what's going on, especially in the IAM world. I mean, we got the Oracle WebLogic bug. That's a big one in the IAM space. And TeamCity, that's a pretty big one too. So make sure you guys are patched. I hope you guys don't get taken advantage of. I'll see you guys around. Later.